Welcome to the Action Lab Leadership Podcast, where we have honest, unfiltered conversations with business leaders. My name is Danny. I'm the founder of Action Lab Leadership, and today I'm joined by my friend Stephanie Moxley, who's the owner of Pins and Wheels in Austin, Texas. Welcome to the show, Stephanie.
Thank you for having me.
Let's get into this episode and start where we always do. You're a leader in your business, but what does leadership mean to you? What do you think it means to be a leader within an organization?
So we work with a lot of my team. I have people who are 16 years old all the way to, 46, 56. But I think the biggest thing that I have found, no matter what age they are or their experience, is encouragement. Encouragement and giving them the confidence to build themselves, to try new things, to encourage them to grow, try a different area of the facility, learn something different. But I think encouragement and opening their eyes.
Who gives you encouragement?
My masterminds class.
That question wasn't a setup. It was. I was genuinely
like this guy right here.
I appreciate that. But even outside of that, where do you find your sense of encouragement? Because I agree with you. We all need that voice of encouragement, because being an owner of a business, being a leader or manager in a business is sometimes lonely, because we can't talk to our employees about the things that aren't going well, or we can't talk to our employees about the things that stress us necessarily. And we can feel on an island at times that we don't always have the person patting us on the back saying, keep going, you got this. So I'm so fortunate that you mentioned the mastermind group that we do. But I mean, outside of that, where else do you find that sense of encouragement?
My family and friends. One of my good friends works with me as well. So we have a relationship both at work and personal. But they remind you of your growth, of where you look how far you've come in a year, when a lot of times you look at yourself of like, oh, I should have been here. I wish I was this far, but you need that reminder of look how far you've grown. And so I have a really good group of friends that do that for me. And my husband is great as well as that.
How often do you reflect on where you are versus where you used to be? Because so many business owners are focused on the future and where they want to go. Makes sense. We have goals. We have places we want to get to. We have milestones. But reflecting on how far we've come, sometimes it's easy to lose sight of just how far we actually come and how much we've improved. Do you do that on a regular basis and reflect?
I have done it more this year than I ever have, given we have expanded like crazy in our business. And this past year was the biggest learning year we've ever had. And me personally, both on like personal growth or just like, did we do the right software? Did we put the right attraction in? Did we design it the right way? Or should we put our games over here and that kind of thing? So it was a lot of trial and error, a lot of growing pains. So in those growing pains, I did a lot more reflect of like where. So yes, I do have more now than ever.
Well, it's interesting because you talked about expanding the business and you added all these new things in there, and it's, did we put this in the right place, and should we put it over here, and how's this going? Sometimes we can look at that and think, oh, well, we need to move this. And so where we put it originally, that was a mistake. We messed up. Right. Sometimes we can get caught in, if we don't allow ourselves to make a mistake, we can get caught in paralysis analysis and just not know what to do. And so we do nothing. But doing something, learning from it, pivoting and changing is progress. Even though it feels like you're taking a step back, it's still progress because we're learning. We took action and we're taking the next step.
Right. I would say doing nothing is the mistake.
Yeah. So when we talk about mistakes, then maybe we want to look in the last year. Maybe you want to go further back than that. But was there a particular painful mistake that you made in your leadership journey that at the time was really hard, but you've learned from that, and on the other side, you feel like you've become a better version of you and you've improved your leadership skills because of that mistake?
I'd say the biggest mistake is bringing people onto the business that didn't share the same mindset, the same goals, the way they handle situations, or where the goal of the business, like the overall goal, but their growth mindset as a person, and wanting to help grow people, bringing people on board with that same leadership mindset. you've got to have that similarity.
So it sounds like you needing to hire on personality rather than skill, because skill you can teach. It's really hard to teach personality if they don't just have what it takes, the way that they show up and their integrity and the kind of person they are. No matter how much training you do, it's going to be like pushing a rock uphill.
Right. And integrity. I mean, they're true heart, and they really care about the people they work with, about the business, or is it just like, yeah, this is fun, I can do this, but do they really care? The heart of it.
What during the interview process, you're going to bring on somebody new. What are the things that you ask them in that interview or during that process to get to understand? Well, do they have that integrity? Do they care about their employees? Or are they just here to collect a paycheck and move, clock in, clock out and move on? How do you discover that? What are the ways you uncover that?
That's a great question. I feel a lot of it is the connection. Is that like gut connection? Do I feel like I can grow with this person? Is this person have that growth mindset? Are they willing to accept criticism, or hey, let's change it this way? So I think some of the questions of tell me the time you made a mistake and how did you handle it, or when you have to teach other people how to do something. So I think one of the big things of being leaders is owning up for your part of the mistake, right? So if an employee makes a mistake or that they do something wrong, where did we fall on that? So we have to take some sort of accountability that we didn't train them right, we didn't teach them right, we didn't explain it right, it wasn't clear. But so owning up to your own, mistake on that. And so, just talking to them, talking about their team, you can kind of tell if they're, if they have that same mindset.
So let's say you bring somebody on board, you hire them. The interview went well. You heard the things you wanted to hear. It seems like it was the right fit.
Yeah.
For the people who have not been the right fit, that this is not the mindset we want, this is not a good culture fit for us, how quickly do you recognize that? Is it something that shows up really, really early on when they start working, or does it slowly uncover itself in your experience?
I feel like for the most part, it's right away. Yes.
When you notice that right away, do you move on from them in that moment, or how do you typically approach that? Is that something where you say, okay, I'm recognizing I made this hire, I'm seeing things I don't want to see from them, you try to use that as a learning experience, or do you say this is just not going to be the right fit, you move on? What is your mental calculation there?
I mean, I always want to give them the benefit of the doubt, right? Give them that opportunity. So we'll have those conversations, mark the improvements that need to have. A lot of times people don't realize, it's their perspective of it. They don't see the other side of it. So definitely have to have that conversation with them so they can open their eyes. A manager recently just wasn't aware of it. But she really took it to heart and made a lot of changes. And I'm really glad we had those conversations, and she continues to grow and continues to check in like, hey, am I going the right direction? Am I not? And so, I love that.
And it sounds like in a situation like that, your relationship with that particular manager is probably much stronger on the other side of having a difficult conversation than it was before, because you approached it, I'm assuming, from a point of kindness and clarity. You were clear about what you wanted, but you weren't a jerk about it. You wanted to help that person. On the other side, is your relationship with them better?
Oh, yeah. But ultimately, they have to be willing to take that growth and take that change. And so I think that's where it becomes very obvious. Where is it defensive and nope, I'm good, I want to do it this way, and argumentative, or is it no, okay, thank you for the feedback, they really sink in and reflect on it.
And for you, do you find it hard, because a lot of people, myself included, I'm a human being, right? If I receive critical feedback from a person, a lot of times my ego wants to, in my head, you go, oh, no, they're wrong, I'm right, I know what I'm doing, and we get very defensive internally. When you receive criticism from, let's just say, one of your managers on your team, as an example, we don't have to say name names or anything, but when you receive criticism, are you good at being able to immediately go, let me sit with this and reflect on this? Do you have that knee-jerk reaction like I sometimes do of, well, my ego wants to prove itself right and they can't be right because I'm not doing anything wrong, and that whole thing? What is that like for you?
Well, I mean, of course, your immediate reaction, right, is like, no, but take that moment, reflect. A lot of it, I feel like, is it's communication. Do they know all the right pieces and vice versa, right? Like if an employee makes a mistake or I make a mistake or, manager, anybody, but like, did they have all the information? Do they know the why? Do they know all the other aspects that went into it? And I feel like most of the time when you have those true, honest conversations with people, you get on the same page and everyone understands it, right? So they don't understand. So say, they're like, hey, Steph, you did this wrong or something. It's like, okay, well, so there's a lot of factors that you didn't know. And not that sometimes it's like, I didn't expect you should know them, but having that open conversation. So knowing the why, I think is huge. Really understanding the why.
We spoke earlier about the idea of reflection. Let's reflect for a moment on the past for you. Is there a win that you've had in your career at this venue and your ownership there that at the time when you had that win, you didn't fully appreciate it at the time, but now in hindsight, you can look back and reflect on it and realize it was a very important part of your growth journey. It was an important kind of stepping stone or milestone for you to get to where you are?
I think the biggest one goes back to my employees, the team. We closed down and I use this example a lot, but I feel like every time I talk about it, I get something more from it. But we closed down for a month and I had 27 employees who were high school and college students come back. And so that is just a win. I remind myself of what did we do then that made them all come back? And let's make sure we're still doing that now with my 75 employees that I have now. Are we still being true? Are we being honest communication with them? Are we being open? Are we encouraging them? Are we providing the tools that they need? Because your team's on the front line of everything, right? Like if, they've got to enjoy what they do or, they're not going to pass it on to the customers, right? So.
Well, you had mentioned that you closed down for that month in order to do your expansion and you basically doubled the size of your business. And so many of them came back, which is an amazing feat that I don't know a lot of small businesses that would be able to retain all those employees because they go a month and don't have their weekend money or, to do whatever they need to hang out with friends and all that. But as you expanded your business, a larger business also has more complexity,
right,
and more bigger challenges, and just everything's a lot different when you double the size of a business. Now being into that about a year from that expansion, are there any things where you look back and there are certain challenges from the past that you kind of missed that were from a smaller business of before you expanded, that things are more complex now that you kind of wish for a simpler time? Or are you taking on all this new complexity and new challenges as this is great, let's keep going, bring it on, I don't want to go back ever?
I mean, we were a very well-oiled machine when we expanded. I mean, I think the last 5 years, I started to get bored. I wasn't challenged, which hence brought the expansion on. So boy, was I challenged, and I'm definitely never bored right now. But there are things that I felt like we tried to change everything. We're like, okay, well now we're not just having one attraction, we have 5 attractions. And so we try to change too much. And even now we're even going back to how we used to do things. So it worked for many years. We were very successful at it. And we we're like, okay, well, this is our opportunity to revamp and try out these new things. And we tried a lot of new things. So now it's kind of bringing back things in and going back, no, you know what? This worked really well for us for 20 years. Let's kind of go back to that.
Do you have any things that you have implemented for, let's say, the people who stuck around, were with you before the expansion, they're still with you now? Any processes and things that you've changed that you're keeping the new process? Do you have any employees or any pieces where employees want to go back to the old way and you have to keep reminding them, no, this is the way we do this now? Has that led to any friction in your business?
It has. I mean, there were some employees who they liked the expansion of it, but obviously they didn't. They said it changed it too much, right? It wasn't the same, the same dynamic. I mean, we went from a roller skating rink with a small arcade and a snack bar and 27 employees to a bowling, arcade, axe throwing, full restaurant and bar. I mean, it was massive. It's a massive change. So with change comes resistance. But, we were very open about it, and it kind of got to the point And it still is to the point where we're driving the train, and if you don't like it, please get off at the next stop, I mean, as fun as it says, but either jump on board with us, we'd love to have you, but if this isn't the right fit for you, then go find something that is. No hard feelings, but we don't want anyone to be doing something they don't want to. So if you want to go do something else, great. Let's leave on a mutual respect, and best of luck to you. So, no one should be doing something they don't want to do.
Has it been fun through this process in the last year? You mentioned you tried lots of new things and put new process into place. Some of them you're keeping, some you've gone back on, and that's part of the journey. But have you had fun experimenting and trying all these new things, or has it for you been more stressful to have maybe some uncertainty about what is the exact process or what is the flow for this new business and this new reality of what a double the size of the business looks like?
No, in all honesty, it's been extremely stressful with it. I mean, especially since, we have a team. My parents are very involved. We have managers. We do our research, but ultimately, someone's got to make the decision. We got to red or blue, pick one, And so, yeah, there's a lot of stress and pressure. Did I make the right decision? And you won't know that until after you make the decision.
Yep.
So, yeah.
You got to make the decision, and it either works the way you wanted to or doesn't, and we try something else.
Yeah. But again, we made a decision. So that's the first step, right?
Yeah. Are there any things right now that you are in indecision on that you know you need to make a decision, but you're kind of in that I don't know which way to go, and so you're kind of maybe it's paralysis at the moment, or have most things in the business you have a direction on?
If you would have asked me that about 2 months ago, yes, but I finally made a decision on how our team kind of flows and some cross-chaining things. We're kind of changing some things up. We're just more team aspect and more people can help. And that was something that I kind of wanted to go back to. Like everyone kind of knew everything versus like, no, I only work in this area. And so we finally kind of pulled the trigger on that a few weeks ago. And ever since we made that change, I'm very excited about it. It just making the decision, right? And part of the stress is which one, and you make the decision and half your stress goes away with it. So it's like, all right, we made the decision, let's commit to it and let's go from there.
There's this philosophy, and I don't remember where I heard this, so I can't attribute it correctly, but it was something along the lines of some people think when they're trying to make a choice that there's a right choice and a wrong choice, a right answer and a wrong answer. But there's not. There is make the choice and then take the actions to make it right.
Right.
And it's interesting because we can often get into this kind of binary thinking of one's right and one's wrong. One's right and one's wrong. They could both be right. They could both be wrong. There's no way to know. Just make a decision, take the right actions, take the best actions, and just learn from it, keep going.
Right.
And I found that to be helpful at times because it can be really easy for me, and I think a lot of listeners, to get caught in indecision and analysis paralysis and that whole thing of I just don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. Thinking about it for another day, another week, another month is not going to help us. We just need to do something. Take action and go.
Yep.
Even if it's in the wrong direction, because if we're moving in the wrong direction, we can turn. But if we're not moving at all, we're not moving.
Right, but you don't know it's the wrong decision unless you make a decision. So
exactly.
Pull the trigger and make the decision. So
what are the leadership qualities or characteristics or skills that you're trying to develop more right now? Are there certain skills that you look at and you think, I'm not strong enough in this area, I want to improve this?
Guidance with my team. So part of it is, like I said, building that confidence, giving them the strength, and I want you to try it. But part of it now is, I don't want to tell you. I want you to figure it out for yourself. So how do I guide them, ask the right questions? And that's something that with the mastermind class that you do all the time with us, right? Like you ask us questions and we end up figuring it out on our own just by the questions you ask. And it's just like, oh, holy crap, like what just happened? So, in guiding and in trying to rather than telling them, hey, I have confidence in you, giving them the tools so they see the end themselves and they have that reflection on themselves. So asking those right questions, giving them that path so they can figure it out. You
said you're working on that. In the past, have you approached it generally? historically from they ask a question, you give them the answer? Has that been your modus
Right.
operandi?
Well, and then even just, hey, I need help with this. Okay, yeah, let me fix that for you real quick, right? Like, okay. So even to that level of that training tactic, wait, what's your question? How about you? Did you try this? Like asking questions, and then ultimately they figure out the answer, whether it be how to do something like product wise, something small to help a customer, or if it's something bigger in that aspect of who they are as a person and their growth.
I love that answer too, because it's the reminder that when we ask the right questions and someone else can either learn the decision-making process, the problem-solving process, or discover the answer in themselves, that it sticks so much better for them than if you give them the answer. Right. So it would be like if there's someone in a math class, let's say, and they don't understand a problem. So they go up to the teacher and say, how do I solve this problem? And they say, oh, the answer is 54. They can write the answer in, and that's the right answer, but they have no idea how you got there.
Right.
And the next time something similar comes up, they're just going to go right back because they haven't been taught the skills to know, oh, I know how to solve this. Not just I know the outcome, but how did we get to the outcome in the first place?
Right.
And then even when it's not problem solving, when it's just being able to ask someone a question where they have to think in themselves to find the answer, it's part of the reason, like you said, I set up masterminds that way, where I don't want to, I don't have every answer. You have more answers in yourself than I know of you. But even if I think I know what the answer maybe is, me asking the question and having you find the answer is so much more powerful than me just saying, we'll do this. Because giving someone the answer, it doesn't land as deeply.
I mean, it's all dialogue. It's all that conversation. Like half the time you're talking, and as you're talking, you figure it out yourself. And then, and then once you figure out more self, that's where the confidence comes in, right? And you're like, wait, I can do this. I am growing. I'm going in the right direction. Or I like this feeling that I have of this now. Like, I want more of that. So,
sure. Well, you had mentioned there that being able to talk through it, you can kind of figure it out in that moment. When you're on your own solving a problem, do you talk and think out loud to help you solve problems? Is that a tactic that you use?
I usually will bounce with my friend, one of my best friends who's also been in the business with me for a while. And usually it's just a rebound, like just be there, and I'm going to talk out loud and ask, and she'll throw some questions out there. But, so I talk out loud. It's usually to somebody, but for the most part, it's just talking out loud and figuring it out. And you're like, oh, I got it. And they're like, did I help you? You're like, yes, you did. Thank you so much. So it did great.
So in business, there are days and weeks and even months that are, let's just call them fun. Things are going well. Things are clicking. Everything's smooth. And there are some months that are just hard. Some weeks that are just hard and difficult. And you feel like you're just trudging through the mud. When you're in those seasons that, whether it's a day, a week, or longer, that are difficult, how do you focus on your mindset to get to the other side of that? What are some of the things that you do in order to keep yourself going and to remain optimistic in the face of challenge?
So I have kind of reminders throughout my office. I have three posters. One of them is for my team when they come in and we have meetings. But the two of them are for me. And a lot of time, people don't really know what they are until they ask. But one's a bird on a tree, and it's just that whole saying of what if I fall? It's like, well, what if you fly? But then even just more of that mantra of like, I always end up landing on my feet. And so I always just kind of remind myself of that. And then, there's little other aspects. I have like kind of sticky notes somewhere. So it's just little things here and there that just remind me of myself that it's like, you know what? The hardship, it's been rough. I've been there before, but we always come out okay.
There's a quote that reminds me of, and again, I can't attribute this because I don't remember who said it, but they said, when a bird lands on a tree, does the bird trust the branch or its wings? Which I love, because at the end of the day, you have made it through every single challenge you've ever been presented.
Yeah, you're still there. You're still there. So it will get better. Now, how much do you reflect and learn from it? That's up to you, but it always gets better. We always end up figuring it out. It will work itself out.
So as we wrap up today's conversation, is there one action that you recommend our listeners take if they want to become a better leader in their business, a better leader in their organization, what is one action they can start taking today in order to achieve that?
I'd say you got to reflect on yourself.
You
have to grow yourself before you can grow a team. 100%. I whether you read the books, podcasts you listen to, people you talk to, putting yourself in around people that have that same leadership. A lot, like you were saying, a lot of times when you're the owner, you're the boss, it's lonely because you can't have these conversations with, your managers or your 16-year-old employee. They don't understand. So putting yourself around, getting yourself a team that is in that same similarity. I have a great group of peers and friends I can call whenever you are feeling down or you just don't know what to do, and they remind you of yourself, of who you really are. So self-reflect for sure.
Well, you're helping our listeners be able to learn and grow themselves. So thank you so much for being here on the show with us.
Of course. Thank you, Danny.
And thank you all for listening and watching. If you liked what you heard, don't forget to subscribe and send this episode to a friend that you think would enjoy it. Now go out there, take action in your business, and become the leader that your team needs you to be.